the new guard of the LEC and Mad Lions and Koi are fighting for a spot in the final versus G2 tomorrow. I'm Shax, joined by Ender and Broxa to kick us off for today. And we had all 5 games yesterday, so we are happy campers.
Yeah, we're super happy. I'm saying we get 5 more today, 5 more tomorrow, 15-game weekend, call it a day.
And then we party.
Then we party, only for 1 week, because after that we got to get straight back.
We got to get back, exactly. But it is the Mad Lions and Koi that are clashing today, and they're looking to play G2 tomorrow. But it's actually the 6th time that they clash in best of 5s, which is the 2nd most seen playoffs matchup in LEC history after
G2 Fnatic.
Exactly.
Mysterious monk. Ooh.
What?
I thought it was the Mysterious Monkeys. That's my bad.
No, oh, that is a blast from the past. But yeah, in terms of kind of being a new guard of the LEC, Broxa, it's incredibly impressive, right? Because we had G2 and Fnatic at the top for so long, and to overtake that or to vie for the titles alongside them is a big deal.
Yeah, especially because the past many years, all the up-and-coming players wanted to join G2 Fnatic. I know what it's like being in that position. You know, I was there myself. And, you know, now slowly times are changing because Mad Lions and Koi have both been so good at utilizing their rookies, setting them up for success and really just skyrocketing their careers.
And that's so important, right? Whether it was Koi bringing up 4 of the 5 players from their ERL team, Mad Lions, rookie of the split, Elyoya coming out and absolutely dominating with them. They have taken their rookie talent and really propelled themselves to the top, where now they are in the top echelon for the LEC, have been for a long time. Mad Lions sort of rebooting themselves in this year as well, have come on looking super strong to a top 3 finish at minimum.
And 2 teams also that haven't exactly like they've changed things continuously. Even though they've invested in the rookies, they've made sure that when the results weren't exactly what they wanted, they've made sure to make changes to make sure that they can stay at the top. And I think that's why we're finding them in these playoffs again.
I mean, now they're on the level where people just want to join their team, right? Like Hylissang rolls over, is like, I'm gonna have a great split. Carzzy wants to come back too. Even some of the pickups like Chasey on the top side of the map, absolutely fantastic for them.
Yeah, and they've always managed to find a good balance between veterans and rookies so that the rookies coming in are comfortable, have some leaders they can look up to, someone who can share the experience and really help them grow into amazing players.
Yeah, the coaching staff from both sides always gets a lot of praise, rightfully so. But let's talk about the Mad Lions and how they have approached these playoffs so far. We saw them play just yesterday. In fact, we saw 5 games. And it looks like in terms of the team fights, they always seem to be there with more people in time.
Yeah, they're always using their priority in whichever lane to sort of capitalize. You'd see this a lot whenever SK was overextending. Mad Lions would find ways to come in with heavier numbers. I think we saw a lot of moves from Chasey from top lane, moving down towards into the mid lane. Elyoya was also right there with him trying to gank. I think Hylissang too was all over the map with his rotations to try and punish as well.
And I think that's something Mad Lions have always been really good at, that even last year with Kaiser, like he was everywhere with Elyoya, with Niski, and now Hyli coming in fits even greater into that playstyle, because when Hyli has played at his best, like back in 2018 for example, that's how we made our big run. Like, it's when he's unleashed, he can roam, he can make plays with mid and jungle, and when Mad Lions get that early game rolling on bot side, they're so scary.
I think you can absolutely expect Mad Lions games to be insanely bloody. Like, these players are so aggressive. There were so many times yesterday where Hylissang was just looking for an angle to engage. Even like a player dies and he still finds a fight. He's like, I can rel 3 players. I'm gonna take that every single time. So they're always looking to play on that edge and find the fights for themselves.
It's a bit like watching the Fnatic roster we had with Niski and Hylissang, where they were just fighting no matter what. But now, a little bit more controlled, because some of the other players can kind of keep an eye on them and make sure they don't misbehave too much.
Are you sure? Carzzy, I saw him in the Fnatic game yesterday.
Maybe Carzzy needs an extra eye on him as well, but I believe in Elyoya and Chasey to slow things down just a
little bit. It's true, they have been very proactive, and the team fights have looked fantastic when they were on the blue side. It was such a big talking point yesterday. SK also saying that they found it quasi-impossible to draft on that red side, Broxa. So what's it gonna take, and which team is gonna make the jump and maybe get a counter or something like that in order to get that win on the red side?
I think that's what it's really going to be about today, because we have so many champions that are, you know, so popular right now with such a big presence like we see on screen at the moment. 3 of them are junglers in Elisa, Johanny, Maokai. We have Ash support, we have an Asir in the mid lane. And once those picks are down, especially for jungle, because the pool is so limited, things get really tricky, and you need to be able to dive deep into the pool to look successful, which is a reason why G2, for example, have looked so good, because they don't care. They can play anything.
And Mad Lions, too, sort of looked like they could play almost anything yesterday. I think we see them being super flexible in what champions can go where. Like the Gragas mid lane was a big surprise. I know that there have been a lot more like AP melee mid laners that have been getting play, but seeing that not just go in the mid lane for Niski, but also being flexed into the jungle. The Jace is another pick that can move around for them. So I think coming into the multiple series this weekend, you're never going to be quite sure where all the champions Mad Lions pick are going to go.
And when it comes to kind of staying ahead of the curve, the fact that Mad Lions played the full 5 games yesterday, got a little bit more comfortable on the patch, saw the pitfalls of the whole red side situation. Of course, they knew it, but then they also experienced it in game. Broxa, do you think that's going to be helpful for a team that plays the way they do coming into Koi, who had a week to prepare, but actually didn't play competitively?
I think it can be looked from both angles, right? Because Koi is pretty happy they got to see Mad Lions being under pressure, using every strategy they had left in the tank to try to get to this point. But at the same time, for Mad, they were being put to the limit, and there are so many learning lessons they can take from yesterday, both from the wins and losses, that they can hopefully use to improve coming into today's match.
I would not be surprised if Mad Lions were a little bit exhausted after playing those 5 games yesterday. This can potentially be a very grueling weekend. On top of that, different to other finals weekends in the past, where like teams I think would like struggle to like who's still playing, who's going to be our scrim partner. Teams are going on a lot of breaks because the schedule is so rapid paced. A lot of teams that have been knocked out earlier are going to be trying to get games under their belt. So it's not like Koi, who hadn't had a game yesterday, haven't had a competitive game. They have not been wanting for scrim partners.
That's a great point that I did not consider. But for Koi, Trimby has been standing out with his flexibility as well. So let's throw it over to the man himself, together with G Bizzle, to talk us through the Kalista support.
Thank you very much, Shox, and thank you very much, Trimby, for joining me. You've pretty much been at the top of Ingenuity in the support position, at least going through last year. We've seen the Nasus, the Juani, more famously the Soraka that was played during playoffs as well. And now you've brought up the Kalista. Could you just explain to me the pros and cons real quick of a Kalista support, why we see so many AD carries as well in the support position all of a sudden?
Well, I mean, for the runes, I play Hell of Blades because it's an AD carry. You want to get as many autos as possible, especially early. That's why this rune just suits you so well. With the Treasure Hunter, for me, the Magical Footwear, all of those runes help you get a little bit more gold. You don't want to spend gold on like things like shoes. You want to get your Ambroglyph as fast as possible, which is also the patch where Ambroglyph is a bit stronger on ranges than it is on live, I think, right now.
Exactly.
So that's why you want all of those runes. You can go for cookies. I go for futures for the gold as well. You just want to get as much gold, and you don't want to put too many investments before you get your first core item. That's kind of how you want to play them.
Once again, the innovator with a little different rune touch as well from you there as well. And I would love to get into the laning phase as well, just to get an idea from how you normally want to play these AD carries in the support position, because it seems very difficult, especially because at times it seems very jungle reliant as well, how you get it ahead. As I'm rolling out the clip, I would love to get your thoughts on what is going through your mind right now.
Yeah, I'm playing with Varus, which is a double Hell of Blaze bot lane. As you can see soon, I mean, I'm trying to get a good trade. Mickey, I think, here missed 1 Q, so I was trying to walk up, but I couldn't get. Right now, he used Mantra, so I'm looking for the as best trades as possible. Sadly, I don't get the trade I want. It's not something. I'm getting a bit chunk, but look here, we get like double Q on Varus, then I got the Q2. Sadly, Maokai is coming, which we didn't really ward too successfully, right? We have only ward over there, which, you know, helps them out. And I think before they had a ward before here, so they kind of knew we didn't ward too much Tribrush. Like, they also knew we are standing all the time in the lane, so that's why they tried to go for the gank, which should be obviously successful, but with the lanes like this, when the bot lanes like this, they kind of have to like start it already. And as you're gonna see it in the clip, they try to do it right, but we're full HP still. Mickey obviously goes for, he has to do that in order to like force the flash, and they still commit on the Varus because I have cleanse, but they need to remember, right, we're 2 Hell of Blaze bot lane, they use all the flashes already. I get to kill Maokai and I still fight. I mean, I have a red buff, that's why I want to fight a little bit more. Sadly, I think I missed, I use cleanse a little bit badly, but if I hit my Q, the guy is dead. And
the fury is there.
I can tell you that Sivir dies there too, so that should be, you know, if I was carrier, maybe it would be a little bit better over there. Sadly, you know, I'm not for now, and that's just how it goes. And here, due to all the things that happen, they have no flashes. We also get to slow pushes the wave because we are so much stronger.
And is this something you really want to do normally? I can see the stacked up wave. I can see you've taken control of it. It looks like an ideal situation to really pull this dive off. Yeah. But it goes wrong. Why is it that it does go wrong in this instance?
I mean, sadly, Ari cannot really stop the TP, and we're already overcommitted in order to like fight this. I couldn't really tank the tower shots, so sadly Varus had to do it, and yeah, due to that, Varus was a little bit too overextended, Varus was a bit too low, and Tristana gets a double that should never really happen. But yeah, like later on, due to the fact that Varus died a little bit quite fast actually. He's able to catch this wave. Hans tries to base over here from what I remember, and Varus just threats a freeze on them. I mean, he kind of pushed quite a lot, but sadly he wanted to bait them out as much as possible. He gets mantra queued, which, you know, shouldn't technically happen, and normally it should be a 2-0 here because there's no way they get out. But yeah, at the end of the day it's 2-1. I'm getting extremely fed, but yeah, like as you may or may not know, we lost that game. But at the end of the day, I think that our early game, even though it was not ideal the way you wanted, still think it was like pretty nice and we could do a lot of different things. It's just, yeah, we didn't really manage to pull off fully and make sure that we can use our advantage in our favor.
Thank you very much, Trimble, and good luck in your games as well. So I'll be going over to the analysts as we will continue talking about the support decision as well.
You left him there on his own?
I mean, he looked comfortable, didn't he? Maybe we can use him as a broadcast talent at some point as well.
He was really, really great. I always love when players take the time out, especially before playing such an important best of 5, and some great insight as well. And let's just talk about the supports a little bit, because it is such an interesting matchup. I think when you look behind me here, of course, the lane prowess type of champions versus the ones that can pull off the engage for you that Hylissang likes to play. Broxa, how much of an influence is that going to have on these bot lanes? I mean, obviously a lot, but...
I think it's going to have a pretty immense impact, but not only the supports themselves. I think part of why they play this way is that, you know, it's the junglers as well, because Malrang is going to sacrifice everything to help Koi's bot lane, while Huli, he wants to roam to the other side of the map to help Niski, to help Elyoya, and therefore Huli is more, you know, he kind of tends to go for the playmakers, whereas Trimby just goes full laning. He wants to stomp lane, get Koi ahead. And it's going to be interesting to see how the matchup plays out, because Huli on his playmakers will struggle versus the likes of Soraka, Heimer, maybe a Kalista. It's just tough laning.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I spoke a little bit with Trimby before the segment went live as well, and he was actually saying that, yes, I love playing my range supports, I love taking control of the lane, but if my teammates allow it, I would actually love to match Trimby with this style as well. So maybe we're not just going to be seeing the range guard versus our melee guard here between the two supports. Maybe we'll see some flexibility coming through from both of them.
If my teammates allow it. I guess if it's in the plan, I guess is what he meant. It was funny that you said that, Broxa, because the replay that we saw earlier was Hylissang going in on a Nami as a Nautilus and getting the kill, right? So it's not that he can't do it, but it's just going to be a little bit tricky at times.
Well, if the matchup is straight up 2v2, it's a little bit tricky because he's going to have some small opportunities to go for the all-in, but he's going to rely a little more on his jungler coming and finding that one opportunity to get him ahead. Because otherwise, at one point, the ranged lane is just going to poke him down, and it's going to be a little miserable sitting on the turret.
Yeah, and setting those two up against each other, right? I just think the first 3 minutes of that game is going to be so pivotal, but not so much for how we just look at champions normally. Which wards gets placed down immediately? Do you know that the enemy bot lane or enemy jungler needs to come early to have a dive to make the matchup influential? What about the sweeper? Who's going to start with the sweeper? What about the camps? Are we taking 2 camps into bot side? Are we taking 3, as we've seen Malrang do as well? All these small things are key things to have a look at in the beginning of the matchup in terms of getting your bot lane ahead.
Look at us talking so much about the supports. Who are we? I love it. You're support main, of course.
I am.
So it's great. But the jungles were, of course, mentioned as well. I think for either side, and generally in League of Legends, we've got mid-jungle support synergy roaming around the map. 2 very different type of junglers, though, coming into this one.
Yeah, definitely. I think in some ways there are similarities, like they both like to be proactive, but they do it in different ways. Elyoya likes getting resources as well, turning into a carry, deals a lot of damage, and he plays really closely with Niski in the mid lane. Malrang, you have no idea where he's going to go. Like, this guy can go anywhere. He doesn't care what farm. He's just going to do some crazy stuff and gank people one way or another.
We don't do predictions that often, but I feel like this one is really, really spicy. So Goldberg, who's going to win and why?
5 games, Koi takes the last game. I believe in the adaptation.
Of what?
Well, in terms of just like how you want to play these bot lanes, I think yesterday Lucian Nami was such a bait. I think that they will have different ideas to just throw in different stuff. Reason why we praise G2 so often is because you can prepare for them in draft. I think Koi has a little bit of that same element in a very light way, but it comes from the bot lane.
You agree?
Yeah, I was just thinking, if you're going to go for the 5-game prediction, I want to be the one spicing it up.
3-0?
So I'm going to say 3-0 Matt Lions.
Wow.
Niski Gragas will take them all the way to the top. Maybe a little bit of help from my boy Hylissang in the bot lane. No analyst bias here, of course. 3-0 Matt.
I love
Bomba.
it. I love it. Let's find out who advances to the Winter Split Final and gets the opportunity to face G2 Esports for the title tomorrow.